I can't comment on technology.
All right, we are live. Two guys talking again. This week, we're going to talk about live music
Yeah, no one's tried to stop us from talking, so we'll just plunge forward.
until they stop us, until they say when. Why don't you start us off with a live performance? I don't know if you want to do things we love, things we hated.
Yeah, I was thinking of those categories loved and hate, and also maybe the most surprising. I'm going to start with the most surprising live
Okay.
show that I ever saw. Um, I must have been 16 or so, 15, and I went to a show headlined by Badfinger with one of my only friends who could drive. So he called me up. So you want to go to the show? I'll drive us, and I think it cost $5. And the opening band was someone called Ashton Gardner and Dyke, and I didn't know them. They had one minor hit and they were all right. They were nothing to write home about. But the middle act was King Crimson.
Oh, wow.
And I knew of King Crimson, but really hadn't spent much time with them. And I thought Robert Fripp was going to lose his mind on the stage. He was taking his synthesizer and Mellotron, whatever, he was performing with it, moving it around all over the place, turning it sideways, and of course, playing songs like In the Court of the Crimson King and 21st Century Schizoid Man. And I was not stoned, but I was blown away.
Hmm.
So much so that when Badfinger came on, and I really liked Badfinger, I loved their Beatlesque tones and their hits day after day, no matter what. Um, but it felt like, gee, what did it feel like? It felt like having a good barbecue sandwich one day and then having someone, I don't know, barbecue a shoe the next day and tell you it was good. It
Oh,
was
wow.
such a come down. And I didn't know, of course, not that long after the lead singer of Badfinger committed suicide, but
Right,
I
right.
don't think my liking King Crimson better that night had anything to do with it. But
I should think not, but
King Crimson was it for me, and that early King Crimson still is my favorite prog rock.
nice. I think the most surprising for me, I hadn't thought about this till just now, was I was at the famed Bottom Line in New York City to go see somebody I went to high school with, a guy named David Poe. And before him, it was a showcase show. And before him came on I guess you call him a jazz musician, I guess pop jazz. Pete Belasco was his name. He played keyboards. And I just remember I bought a CD that night because I was so impressed with him. And I just wasn't expecting that level of performance at a showcase show like that. So it was quite surprising. I enjoyed it. Pete Belasco.
That name sounds vaguely familiar, but I doubt I've heard anything by him
I,
ever. I think this is why it's so important and so much fun to go to live shows, particularly if you're not quite sure who you're going to see, or you might know the type of music, but just want to take a chance. Because if my friend someone had suggested, let's go see King Crimson, I might have said, I think they're a little out there for me.
right, right.
And I probably would have said no unless I had been stoned, and then I would have said yes. But I didn't get stoned at age 15, so that was
Wasn't a thing. You're more pliable when you're high, is what you're saying.
I do think that's true,
Okay.
which leads me to my next live show. I probably wouldn't have loved this, except I was so incredibly stoned. I was in must have been a senior in high school. I think that's about right. I know that I just come back from a trip, high school trip to Europe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can't believe we did that even still, but we did. It was so much fun. But a friend said, "Come on, let's go to Tuscaloosa which was about 45 minutes away, to see Emerson, Lake and Palmer." And I didn't listen to them much. I didn't really know a whole lot about them. I knew some of their, I guess, songs like Lucky Man and From the Beginning was my favorite song from the Trilogy album, but that's about it. And so, okay, I'll go. And we got so incredibly wasted. The show was at the biggest arena on the University of Alabama campus, and it was in quadraphonic sound.
Okay.
And we were sitting kind of up high, and I was so stoned that I thought at some point I'm either seeing God or I'm just completely one with the universe, or I'm more stoned than I've ever been in my life, and I'm not sure what's about to happen next. And so I walked out of that thinking, God, this is the best show I've ever seen. They were doing their brain salad surgery stuff.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've heard brain salad surgery.
Not in its entirety, no.
Well, don't go listen to it now because I tried to. And I thought, yep, you were really, really stoned at that point because there's a lot of self indulgence going on there.
Ah, wasn't that true of most progressive rock bands?
I would definitely agree after the first couple of Yes albums that they went off the deep end when they did Tales of Topographic Ocean. I couldn't listen to, yeah, just what are you doing? Why are you doing it?
Yeah. One show that I really was particularly wasted at was I saw The Firm in 1980.
Oh, cool.
So, oh, cool. I had way too much to drink. I don't remember a damn thing about it. I mean, I was a senior in high school, and the drinking age was 18 in Ohio at that time. And so we had a bottle of Jack Daniels, and we were just drinking. And I can't remember if we were smoking pot. I'm sure we were because we all smoked pot. So I was probably smoking pot on top of drinking Jack Daniels out of the bottle. And I just got way too wasted and don't remember a damn thing. Sadly, that would happen again a couple more times in my life.
I was going to say, I bet you felt great the next day.
Oh, brutal.
Nothing like chugging Jack Daniels. The Firm, that was Jimmy Page and
Paul
right,
Rogers.
Paul Rogers. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I had their album at some point. I no longer have it.
Oh, really? It's good. It does. I mean, it is what it is. It's Jimmy Page and Paul Rogers. You know, it doesn't break any new ground, and I still think Paul Rogers has one of the best voices in rock and roll.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know.
I was before we got onto this. I was doing a story. I'm kind of in the middle of it of one hit wonders, and I don't think "All Right Now" by Free was their only hit, but if you think of Free, his first band, I think Paul
Yeah.
Rogers, that's the
Hmm.
only song you can think of. At
That's
least the only
true.
one I can think of. What an incredible song it was.
Yeah.
Still is.
Never. It still is. Yeah. And then it was Bad Company, right? Yeah.
Right, right. And they had a couple of good ones, although the ones I liked tended not to be the big hits. Um, I can't think of the name of the one. It doesn't matter. Okay, so my very first concert.
Oh, okay.
Very first concert was in spring of 1970. I paid $4 to go see Three Dog Night in Birmingham, Alabama. I was a big Three Dog Night fan. I loved Easy to Be Hard and Eli's Coming and One, sort of their hit stuff. They didn't write any of their songs.
They
Uh,
didn't.
they
Oh,
did
wow.
not. They covered other people's songs, like Randy Newman's "Mama Told Me Not to Come," and
Yeah.
Laura Nero did "Easy to Be Hard." But in many ways, it didn't matter. Maybe they wrote one. I might be wrong, but I don't remember. But it was an amazing show. I felt so cool. I wore my, I think, mod pants. I wore a pair of white patent leather shoes
Oh my God.
because that was the rage. I mean, I'm in eighth grade.
This is
And I went,
1970, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
went with two of my friends, and we had a big old time.
That's awesome. My first concert was John Denver. I don't remember. It was the St. Paul Civic Center. My mom got tickets for us to go to, and I don't remember anything about it. I couldn't have been more than 10.
And
I'm
what
not
year did you say it was?
I don't remember what year. It could have been 19. It had to be later than 70. Might have been 75.
Mm.
1975.
Well, I didn't always love John Denver, but back then, if someone had said, let's go see John Denver, I probably would have gone.
Yeah. I think it was probably one of those things my mom couldn't get a babysitter or something for me, so she had to take me. My dad didn't want to go. So
I would love to have heard the dynamics around that. I'm not going to see John Denver. Take the kid.
I'm sure he'll enjoy it.
Oh, I the craziest. This is not the craziest show, but we had this. I guess this happened throughout the country, but one of our local radio stations, WVOK, sponsored twice a year something called the Shower of Stars. And before I was old enough to go to one of these, they had the Rolling Stones. They always seemed to have Paul Revere and the Raiders, the Doors. They were just incredible acts. Um, I went in the summer of 1970. This was my second show, and I took a girl.
Ooh,
This was so bold of me,
yeah.
except, it was one of those things where I didn't announce that this was a date or that I had any romantic designs. Again, I was 14, and just the very fact that I could ask a girl to go anywhere was amazing. But it was my cross the street neighbor. She did go with me. And a few days before the show started, her mother called my mother and said that her first cousin was coming to town and that the girl I'd asked could not go to the concert unless we found someone to go with the cousin. And
Oh,
I tried several of my friends, no dice. And finally, my mother mentioned the guy who would become my best lifelong friend, but we were not so close then. And he agreed to go. What he didn't know was when we got to the show, our tickets were paired off. So he didn't know this girl and he had to go sit with her during the show. And the headliner of that night was Neil Diamond.
oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. Also on the bill was Rare Earth, Dennis Yost and the Classics Four, and I think of a band called Vanity Fair.
Okay. That seems
Neil Diamond was great. That this was the Sweet Caroline, Holly Holy phase of Neil Diamond before he got even schmaltzy.
I don't think I ever took a girl to a concert without as a date. I never did that. I've been to shows with women that I were dating, but it was always a group of people,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I had a great time, and I thought this is the start of a truly classic romance, and it truly was not. Of course, we never went out ever again as a couple.
Uh, eh,
Yeah,
what can
but
you
it
do?
was a summer romance, at least in my eyes, and it was worth it for that. WVOK Shower of Stars.
The guy I used to do the podcast with, Jeff, lives in Birmingham.
Oh, well,
Speaks very highly of it. He loves it.
it's a good food town these days, but
That's what I've heard,
boy, what a checkered past.
to say the least.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, but we don't have to talk about downers.
No, 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 no. What is a show that you were surprised to be going to? Not that you were surprised at, but like somebody got you tickets, like for a birthday gift or something.
I was surprised to be going to see Hank Williams Jr.
Oh, wow.
I was in college and I didn't really care for anything that called itself country. Now, I would listen to music of people like Neil Young who would do country kind of songs.
Right.
And I didn't even think about it at that point. I just thought this is Neil Young being Neil Young, or some of the country songs that the Rolling Stones did. Okay, that's just the Stones. So I didn't know a lot about Hank Williams Jr., but my roommate had friends who played in a bluegrass slash country band. They were really good. They'd come over to our house and play. And so they came over and asked me to go because they knew that, despite what I've said earlier in this podcast, they knew that I could stay sober and that if you asked me to, I would not smoke. So I was going to be the designated driver. And we went up to, again, I went to a small college in central Alabama and we drove to Birmingham to see Hank Williams Jr. I didn't even know his nickname was Bocephus, but there you go. I don't remember anything about the show. I don't remember liking it really, but I didn't have a bad time.
Right.
And the next day, I knew this going into this, the next day I had my final exam in Chaucer.
Oof.
Yeah, I
Oof.
did fine.
Good.
I may have written about Hank Williams Jr., but I did. So
There's
definitely wouldn't have gone to that. Same thing with David Allen Coe. Almost the same setup. Wouldn't have gone to that either. But I really like David Allen Coe.
I think for me, I went to go see. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm not sure this is true. I think it's true. I didn't do any research on it, but I think I was surprised to see myself going to an Aerosmith and Ted Nugent concert.
Oh,
I think they did a co-headlining thing, and it was Aerosmith I think just before or just after they got sober. I think it was just after. They hadn't even released that record that broke them again when they got sober. But I remember nothing about the show, but I have this faint memory of going to see Aerosmith and Ted Nugent. I suppose I could do a Google search and see if there was a co-headline tour, but
I think it's funny that you just have a faint memory of seeing Aerosmith. I'm not going to comment on Ted Nugent, or I'll just get really nasty. But
yeah,
Aerosmith is one of those bands that they were always around in my high school, college experience. I was always listening, whether it was Dream On or whatever else they did. And I bought an Aerosmith album last year. And I don't remember what motivated it other than I thought I needed to have an Aerosmith album.
I think there's a 4-album stretch there. I have them behind me, but it's like Get Your Wings, Draw the Line, Toys in the Attic, and one other one. That stretch in the early to mid 70s is when they were at their peak of the powers. I think those are just great records. But,
yeah. Of course, I think I started liking them again when they dared to cross over into rap with Run DMC and did that crazy version of Walk This Way that made me like Run DMC. I'd not really listened to a lot, but I thought, all right, this is pretty cool. So I bought that Run DMC album, and it's really good. It's just so good. And I don't have a lot of rap or hip hop in my collection, but Run DMC and a Tribe Called Quest, definitely.
Naturally, yeah. You don't have the Wu-Tang Clan?
Jeffrey Harvey has talked about them, written a lot about Wu-Tang Clan. I think I've got some of their music downloaded, but I don't have any vinyl.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get into something I really can't talk much about intelligently.
Oh, me either.
But yeah, what I've heard, I've really liked.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. What is a concert? Let's go to the basic one. What is your all-time favorite show?
Well, that's very easy, even though I've seen so many incredible acts. I mean, I could rattle off seeing Ray Charles and Johnny Cash and oh God, the Kinks. But my all-time favorite show is seeing Neil Young in Tuscaloosa. And this was right after Harvest. It was maybe the following year after Harvest. He had not done anything after Harvest and was about to obliterate the people who loved Heart of Gold by doing Time Fades Away and then On the Beach and then Tonight's the Night. And, most people wouldn't go there. But the idea that he would come to Tuscaloosa and play both Southern Man and Alabama in front of 16,000 screaming people who just loved every second of it. I couldn't believe that Neil Young was coming to the state of Alabama. And I couldn't believe I was lucky enough to hear about it in time to get really good tickets on the floor, maybe 15, 18 rows back.
That's incredible.
Yeah. He played 16 or 17 songs, only did one encore, one song encore, Are You Ready for the Country? And later, I guess it was about 3 years ago, because Neil Young has an archive of everything he's ever possibly done. He released the Tuscaloosa live concert album,
Oh,
um, but not every song is on the album, including, and this is heartbreaking to me, including the version of Cinnamon Girl that he did. He'd
mm,
been playing acoustic, all the Harvest songs, and then they paused and he uh, put his acoustic guitar down, and someone brought him one of those Flying V guitars that was white, and they launched into Cinnamon Girl. I thought, oh my God, this is just incredible. And they didn't include that song on the live album. But I tell you what, it's so cool to think I can listen to that album and know I was right there.
yeah.
So yeah, all-time favorite, no doubt.
All-time favorite for me, this will surprise nobody, is The Replacements. 1987.
Where?
Bogarts in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Wow.
So a small little, well, small, 400, 500 seater club
My
in
God. Wow.
Cincinnati. Yeah, it was the Pleased to Meet Me tour, and they were great. They were on fire. They played most of Pleased to Meet Me. I pulled up the set list the other day so I could reminisce about it. And
Mm,
yeah, it was just great. They were they were in top shape. They weren't drunk, or if they were playing perfectly fine. Um, and that was them. I kind of feel I've seen them a few times, but I think that was them at the peak of their powers.
mm,
You know, that was when they should have been the world's biggest band. But
yeah.
you know,
I'm not sure I've ever been close enough to go see them. I suppose they've played Atlanta, which would have been likely the closest place to me, but
yeah.
I don't really know. I'm envious of that. That's such a, not only to see them, but to see them in such a small venue where, it had to just resonate.
Oh, it totally did. We were up on the balcony, and to this day, it's still the loudest show I've ever seen.
Mm.
I remember for a day or two afterwards, everything kind of sounded like this. You know, it was very, very loud. What do you think about concert prices now?
Ugh. I refuse to pay. I remember a couple years ago refusing to pay $300 to go see Ringo Starr,
That's
and
outrageous.
I've never seen a Beatle. So I thought, I knew he was coming. Okay, well, I'll at least go see a Beatle. It's not the one I would really like to see. But when I saw the price, I thought, I can't justify that. I
Yeah.
don't like Ringo himself well enough, and I'm not sure what this will be like. And all the time I'd be going, I paid $300. That's just nuts. Um, so yeah, in that regard, although the most recent show we saw, my wife and I, was Emmylou Harris, and I paid $70 a piece, and we in this
Perfect.
beautiful we have a place called the Peace Center they built it like an old theater, so it
Hmm.
kind of looks way older than it really is. But they have those little mezzanine boxes that you can
Yeah.
sit in. $70 a piece. We were sitting right there. It was just fantastic. And I thought, okay, I can handle that price,
Yep.
particularly for someone like that. But I'm not going to pay a whole lot more.
No, that's about my cap. Is what I would spend between 50 and $70. $100, it would really depend on the act, but nobody's really at that price point. They're usually way above it, you know.
Well, I know they have to make a living. I understand that, but even if they charged half that, I think they're probably still making a better living than I've made. So it's it's hard to justify it for sure.
Yeah, what's the most you ever did pay for a show?
Oh, I'm gonna guess. Now I really don't know. For my 50th birthday 20 years ago, my wife got us tickets. We were heading up to New York, but on the way we stopped in Raleigh, North Carolina,
Mhm.
and she surprised me. Although I actually found out about it ahead of time, but she surprised me with tickets to the Paul Simon Bob Dylan show
Oh,
when they were touring together. I imagine she paid a good bit of money for those tickets, but
yeah.
she never told me. I think the most I ever paid was the last time I saw Bruce Springsteen here in Greenville at what was then called the Bilo Center, and I'm sure I paid about 125, 130 or so for that ticket. My wife didn't go, and she probably regrets that, but
Right.
I was thinking that I loved Bruce Springsteen so much back in the 70s and 80s. In fact, the one time I've been in Cincinnati, Ohio was to see him,
Really?
and he
Okay.
put on such a great show. I thought, well, here he is in my own backyard. I feel really stupid if I don't go, perhaps for the last time.
That's where I saw Springsteen was in Cincinnati in
Oh, dear.
1980. 80. It was born in the USA tour, so that was what, 84, 85?
That was probably, I think I saw him there in 81 or 2.
Okay. Yeah.
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 We drove all the way from Knoxville, Tennessee, where I was in grad school. That was about a 5-hour drive, and we drove back that night. Um, I can't do
Wow.
things like that anymore.
No, no. The most I remember paying for a show was The Police at Madison Square Garden. I think we paid 220.
Ooh,
Yeah, but it was one of those things. It was The Police when,
the Madison Square Garden, for God.
yeah, yeah. So,
I saw them in Knoxville, and that must have been 81 or 82, and I had stood in line all night to get tickets, and the only tickets I could get were behind the band.
yeah.
So not
Right.
optimal, but still they sounded good.
Remember when that was a thing when you would go and you would wait all night for tickets to a show and it became like a community,
Yeah, yeah.
and nobody took your place in line. You could, hang out, party. It became a real scene, you know?
At at the expense of maybe sounding like old geezers, yeah, it used to
Yeah,
be that way.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
tickets weren't $150. They were 20 bucks, you
I
know?
think back then, because I had the student activity card, I actually got in for free.
Well, lucky you.
Yeah. Um, I will also say the loudest show I ever heard, also in Knoxville. I thought The Clash was the loudest thing I'd ever heard until I went to see Husker Du.
Oh, wow.
And my wife and I, we were just married, and she had no idea what we were going to. We sat on the very top row in the balcony against the wall, and it was so loud that my wife actually fell asleep. And I said, "How could you possibly fall asleep?" And she said, "Well, at some point you just go numb."
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
but man, if my hearing really is off, as my wife says, it's those twin concerts, The Clash and Husker Du, that did it to me.
Was it the same year you saw them? No.
Uh, Probably saw Husker Du the following year,
Okay.
and that would have been 84, 85, something like that.
You don't strike me as a Husker Du fan. I don't know why.
Uh, I can't say I absolutely loved them, but I had a couple of their records, and what I really liked was that it drove other people crazy. I remember I played, they did that cover of the Mary Tyler Moore
Yeah.
song. So I played that for this guy, and he said, "Wow, that's not really produced at all." And I said, "What do you mean by produced? What does that mean to you?" It is these guys playing their hearts out and having fun, and no one is in the studio toning down whatever they're doing. They're just going for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. I think I still have that single somewhere. I'm not
Wow.
going to rush out and buy a Husker Du album again, but I did
No,
like them back in the day.
no. I just sold my Bob Mould book, actually. Yay.
Ooh, I
He's
haven't read that. Was it a good read?
It was. It was surprisingly good. He's a really talented guy,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, so here's a question for you.
Sure.
Who did you see live before they were really big?
Oh, wow.
Like walk into a bar and there's a live show and okay, I'll take a chance here.
I don't think I've seen anyone before they were running through my Rolodex, and I'm dating myself by saying Rolodex. No, I can't think of one band that I saw on the way up. How about
Well,
you?
yeah, in 1980/81, at the University of Tennessee used to have this incredible strip of bars and clubs, and sometimes they feature new wave bands, sometimes they were just sprawling bars that anyone could play a show in. But I remember my best friend in grad school said, "Come on, we're going to go to this club called Hobos tonight because there's this band from Atlanta that we should go see." He said, "I think they're going to be big, but right now they're just playing this little club and tickets are, I don't know, a couple of dollars to get in, cover charge." It was REM,
Oh,
and they had was an EP at that point out, and there were maybe 50 of us in this club that night, and it was if you had been there, you would know for sure that this band was going to be big. I wouldn't know how big, but I
yeah.
remember my friends saying that Michael Stipe, the way he would sneer a little bit, reminded him of the early Elvis, and it was just one of those wonderful shows. And I felt so proud that I was there that night and saw them before anyone much knew about them.
Yeah, on the internet, there's a clip of them from the David Letterman show in 1980, probably right around there because it was right when the first record came out, not even the
Mhm.
second one, and they're just so lit, on fire. It was just watching something magnificent, you know?
Yeah, well, I tell you, I've seen them a couple of times since then, and they were never. It was never like the first time, which I
No.
guess we could say a lot of things about.
Yes, we could. I've only seen them once. I saw them and I thought they were great, and that was, you know, that was 1987.
The one other show like that for me was, although I had heard of this band then and even had their first album, but same guy. We went. The headlining act for this show was the Jay Giles Band,
Okay.
which I don't hate them, but I also don't own any of their music.
Okay.
But they were the headline band, and the opening act was U2. They only had one album out, and everyone who went to see that show, of course, was going to see Jay Giles, except for three of us. And we were there to see U2, and U2 was so good. They had the place rocking.
Hmm.
And then Jay Giles comes on, and about the second or third song, they did "Pissin' in the Wind," and we looked at each other and said, "That's it. We're out. This is
Yeah.
just, this is again not what U2 was, and it doesn't even hold a candle."
Remember when they used to pair bands together that just seemed so incongruous, like U2 and Jay Giles, or like Rush and Kiss, just like these weird pairings of bands.
Yeah.
They don't do that so much anymore, do they?
No, I think they try to. I was trying to think of the last time I saw a show where there were two or three bands. I can't call it right now. I'm sure I would think about it in a minute, but I think whatever it was, they were much more careful to sync these bands up with, at least if the actual genre wasn't the same, the tone might have been the same. An acoustic mellow show or a show that rocked a bit. I think it was, well, I did see Amanda Shires open for The Head and the Heart. Do you know who
Oh,
they?
I do. Yeah.
So I didn't know much about them and really liked Amanda Shires. And we stayed for about half of The Head and the Heart because I didn't know them well enough and didn't think it was that great. But the music sounded enough alike, but if you really listen to Amanda Shires and what she was saying, there was more of an edge and more of a political feminist edge than the Head and the Heart was for families. I saw whole groups of families there just having a big old time.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure when Amanda Shires came out basically in a leotard and black fishnet stockings and did Take Me As I Am. I don't know what those families were thinking at that moment, but we all survived.
Thank God for that. I think I saw, not I think, I saw Cracker, Soul Asylum, and Everclear on a triple bill
Ooh,
at Webster Hall in New York City. And we showed up late because we were drinking. We showed up late for Cracker, heard like one or two songs, and then Soul Asylum came out with, at the time they had, it was Dave Pirner, Dan Murphy, Tommy Stinson from the Replacements was on bass, and Michael Bland was the drummer. And right, yeah, I'm right on that. And they just lit the place up. I've seen Soul Asylum probably more than I've seen any other band. They're just so good.
they really are. I've never seen them live, but another one of those bands that I like and need to hear more.
Yeah. And I remember halfway through their set, one of the women I was with turned to me and said, I know most of these songs. I'm like, I knew you would. And then Everclear came out afterwards. And by then, probably half the audience had left.
Mm.
You know?
I don't know much about them either. My son-in-law really likes them.
Yeah, I don't much care for them. We stayed for like 2 songs and then went back to drinking.
As it should be.
Yeah.
There have been so many great shows. One of the most raucous shows I ever saw was seeing the Drive-By Truckers at
Really?
this club that we used to have in Greenville, where you could walk in and you could walk right up to them if you wanted to. It was one of those great, really familiar bars. But man, if you've never seen them live, now they're a little, I don't know if they're mellow now, but they got just a little political in their last record or two. But they were just so much fun to see live, and they were passing a bottle of Jack Daniels around as they played, and I kept wanting them to pass it to me, but
No.
bless, it was a wonderful show.
That's great. That's great. We've tapped into a bunch of different concerts here.
Yeah, I would also mention Wilco. The several times I've seen them, I know we did a thing on Wilco and the Replacements a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, not that long ago, but I've seen them 2 or 3 times. The first time I saw them open this long afternoon night show in Raleigh, and I could have listened to them forever that day. And that was really my first real introduction to them. But they drew me in right off the bat.
I saw them once, and I have a lot of respect for Wilco, but I just don't. Something's missing from me. Something is missing. Their catalog is big enough that I like a number of songs, but they're not a go-to band for me. But conversely, I love Uncle Tupelo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something weird about that. What is your all-time? We'll wrap it up by asking, what is your all-time favorite venue?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I really love the Peace Center here in Greenville right now because it's so acoustically perfect.
Yeah.
It's just, there's not a bad seat, even if you're up in the rafters, and their rafters aren't that bad. So I love it. But the first place that I ever went to a lot of shows, it was called, when I first started going, the Birmingham Municipal Auditorium,
Okay.
where I saw Three Dog Night. And then it got renamed for the former mayor, Albert Boutwell, who we could call him a racial moderate back in the 60s, but that's only because sitting right next to him were people like Bull Connor and, so forth, who would sick the police dogs on you. But I saw so many good shows there. That's where I saw Bruce Springsteen the first time. I saw Greg Allman there. I could just rattle them off. Marshall Tucker,
Mm.
Jackson Brown. I mean, you just go on and on and on. So it was so close to home. And of course, I have this incredible nostalgia for how many times we go and the people I went with, and,
Yeah.
on and on and on. Heart. I saw Heart there too.
Wow. For me, it's got to be the Beacon Theater in New York City.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
There isn't a bad seat in the house. It sounds terrific. Um, and much like you, I have nothing but fondness for Madison Square Garden. There is just something special about that. They call it room. There's something special about that
Yeah.
arena that I don't know how to explain it. When I've seen Pearl Jam there, you can feel the arena shake when bands and the audience are in sync. It's incredible. It's just incredible.
I'd sure like to see something there one day.
You got to make a trip up.
Yeah, we've talked about New York City is high on our list of places to go back to. When that's going to happen, I'm not sure, but I'm I'm facing retirement, so in some ways I've got nothing but time and waiting on the opportunity.
Yeah, and you've got a birthday coming up.
I do have a birthday coming up next week.
Happy early birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's going to be fun. Some old friends are coming. I don't even know what all they're planning. We're just going to be here at our house, and
That's
I'm just,
great.
yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So
Well,
thanks.
we've covered live music.
We have. Go see a show soon, whatever it is.
Yeah, support live music.
Definitely.